Shaitanir Rajeem. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Futures Live on Hidayat TV. I'm your host Hassan Shah, and today we're going to be talking about a very important topic, talking about Najis and Mutahhirat. So hopefully we are able to cover everything that we want to cover in today's show. And before we continue, I'd like to introduce our guest.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Misbah.
Assalamu alaikum, my name is Mohsen.
Thank you for the introduction. So before going into this, can we just give your brief understanding of what we're talking about on today's show?
We're talking about like Najis and Mutahhirat, and like Najis is those things which are like unclean or unclean, and so like blood, like urine.
More what about you?
So for Najis, it's put into two categories. One ain't Najis and one that is just Najis. So ain't Najis is something, it can be impure from the start, and also for example alcohol, it was impure from the start, but also it can never get become tahir because it's just impure.
So there's a category to these aspects as well. So Mr. you got the first thing, so can we start, Mr. Abdullah Salawat? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjahum.
In Islam, the word najasat means unclean or impure. There are two types of najasat. Number one, ain najis. These are things which are inherently impure from the beginning. Number two, najis. These are things which become impure. A pure thing becomes impure when it comes into contact with one of the ain najis. For example, blood is considered an ain najis, whereas milk is considered pure. Now, if a drop of blood falls into a glass of milk, the milk will become najis. There are 10 ain najis. Here are a few of them: blood, corpses, dead bodies, dogs, pigs, coffers, and intoxicating liquids. For some of them, there are certain conditions that must be met before they are considered ain najis. For example, the blood of a human being is ain najis, but the blood of a fish or mosquito is not. One should refrain from the ain najis in acts of worship and in food and drink. For example, you cannot pray while you are najis, nor can you eat or drink anything which is najis. However, many pure things which have become najis can be purified again. The agents or things which can purify these things are called the Mutahhirat.
Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. So thank you, Miss Brother. So there we can clearly see, that there's a difference made with in what aspect? The things that make things pure, or the najis things? So there you talked about things that are what? Najis.
Najis and ain najis.
Yeah. So you can categorize them in two things.
Ain najis and
Ain
najis.
najis and
Najis.
What is the first?
Things that are impure from the beginning.
So ain najis are things that what? They are from the beginning, from their starting point is what?
Najis.
Najis. Yeah. And other things are what? Just
najis.
Yeah. What makes them this way?
Because the ain najis makes them.
So they've come. Whatever thing is najis has come in contact with something that is ain najis, something that was impure from the start. Yeah. Some things, certain things. I don't know if you should, but certain things. What? Let's think of one thing that is impure from the start, from its beginning.
Blood.
Alcohol.
Yeah. The blood of what?
A human.
So human blood. Yeah. This from itself is what?
Ain najis.
So this is ain najis. Yeah. So this from the beginning is impure. Yeah. Here's my phone. Yeah. I accidentally cut was what?
It was najis.
Yeah. So there are things in this world that are najis. Yeah, that are you call them najis because what? They are impure from their beginning, from their starting point. Yeah, but because that blood went onto my phone, that surface where the blood dropped, that thing is now najis. And how do we? One question for you now. How can we make these? So we got this blood, yeah. We've got the blood on my phone, and we got whatever blood, human blood. How do we make these things pure?
You can,
Water.
Yeah.
Think
Or-
about the question carefully, because it may be a trick question. So you got blood, yeah. Now the surface which has touched the blood, yeah, is now najis. How can we make these things pure? Think about it.
Oh,
These are two different things. So this is the blood,
yeah.
yeah. This is the surface that the blood was in contact with. How do we make these things tahir?
You,
Can you make this tahir?
you can't make that tahir, but the surface you
Yeah.
can.
So anything that's najis, so anything that has, so there are things that are certain which are najis to begin with, like we've already established. Yeah. So this being blood is najis. We can't make this human blood. We can't make this what?
Tahir.
We can't make this tahir, can we? We can't make this tahir because this is najis. But the surface which the blood landed on, yeah. Now this bit it landed here, right here, yeah. How do we make this?
You can
like
rinse it off.
with water or like a wipe.
Okay, so what are we using to make this tahir again? What word did we mention?
Or tahira.
Yeah. So we use things that are they're called mutahhirat. Yeah, these are the things that what? Change
Make things from impure to
from
pure.
being najis to not being najis anymore.
Tahir.
So to be tahir. So now we know that things are najis and things become najis from being in contact with these najis things. And things that are najis can become tahir through the mutahhirat. Through some and we're gonna go through some aspects and go through some things about that so we can understand it better. So most of you got the next thing, so can we start most off with loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjah.
There are 12 mutahhirat and they can be divided into the following three groups. Nature, 1, water, 2, the earth, number 3, the sun. Physical change, physical change is chemical change, change in properties, change in place, and the disappearance of the najis, and the istabra, the remaining blood after slaughter, and the spiritual change. Islam, the bayah to follow, Ribatul Muslim, the disappearance of the Muslims. Each purifying agent has different characteristics. In this lesson, you will review the first 3 mutahhirat, which relate to nature. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjah. So there, now we know there are how many mutahhirat? How many?
3
groups.
3 groups.
There's 3 groups, but how many are in total?
About 12.
12. Yeah. So they're categorized into what? 3 groups. We can categorize them. One, what's the first group?
Nature.
Nature. Second group.
Physical change.
And third one?
Spiritual change.
Okay, so we're gonna go through what is in each of these groups. So the first group called nature. Yeah. We have water,
Earth.
earth, and
Sun.
sun. And what is the second group? Physical change. Yeah. This probably is at the start it might be difficult to understand, but hopefully we can get through it. So the physical change being what?
Istihala, chemical change.
Istihala,
Inqilab, change in properties.
inqilab. So we've got one which is a chemical change, yeah. Another one change in properties. What's another one?
Intiqal, change
Intiqal.
in place.
Change in place. What's another one?
Zawalul najasat.
The disappearance of the najasat. And
Istibra.
Istibra, and what? What's the last one?
Remaining blood after slaughter.
Remaining blood after slaughter. Yeah. So those are the ones in the physical change. Yeah. Which hopefully we can get onto as well. Spiritual change now. What?
Islam.
Islam.
Tabaya, to follow.
Tabaya, to follow, and
Ghaibatul Muslim,
the disappearance of a Muslim. Yeah. So these are all the categories. Yeah. And so now we know that there's 12 Mutahhirat, and you can categorize them in 3 categories, and we went through each of them. We're just saying the name. Hopefully we can get into each and every one, talk a little bit about a little bit more about it. So Misbah, you've got the next thing, so we'll start Misbah with the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Mutahhirat related to nature. Water. Water is the most common and widely used purifying agent. However, not all water can be used to purify things. The most common types of water that can be used to purify things are: number 1, rainwater; number 2, wild water; number 3, running water, such as a river, a stream, tap water; and number 4, core water, a body of water which is still and has a certain dimension, such as a swimming pool, a pond, a lake, a sea, and an ocean. The water itself must be pure before it can be used to purify something. Almost all solid things, such as clothes, carpets, furniture, fruits, pots, that become najis can be purified by washing them once with any of the above mentioned types of water. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. So we've gone over the first Mutahhirat. Yeah? And what category is this in? The what? Nature. Yeah. And it is what? Water.
Water.
Yeah. So Misbah mentioned there that there are not all water can be used, can it?
No.
Yeah. So what water can be used? What did you go through?
Running water,
Still water.
still water, cold water,
And rain.
and
So rainwater, running water, wild water, and this water called what?
core water.
Yeah, which is just a body of water. So you see a swimming pool or a pond, a lake, yeah, the ocean, the sea, yeah, just a body of water, and that can be used. But what type of water that can't be used? What is this type of water that can't be used?
Dirty water.
Mostly, if you go back to the thing,
Yeah.
you might be able to explain it better.
Wait. It doesn't really say what can't be used.
The water itself must be pure before
Yeah.
it can
So what?
be used to purify something.
So
The water itself must be
Pure.
tahir. Yeah, it must be pure. Yeah. So if we what could we say about it being impure? How
Like
can you
if
explain it?
like blood was in it, or if like najis things was in it, so like
Yeah, so
like dirt.
If any not dirt, but if we find anything, so solids or solids, we could say, even blood, yeah, we could say, and that's usually confined to a certain a place, and if you see it mixed in, then what? You're not able to what? Use it. Yeah. So Mohsin, can you go on to the next thing? So we can start Mohsin off with loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
the earth cannot purify many things with water. In fact, it is very limited. It can only purify the soles of the shoes or the soles of the feet. However, some conditions apply. The earth makes the soles of our feet and shoes tahir if the earth is tahir. The earth is dry. The najasa has stuck there from the earth. The thing that has stuck on the sole of the foot or shoe is cleared. The sun, like the earth, is also a limited mutahhir. It can only purify the immovable things on the earth, such as buildings, walls of a house, and the earth itself. However, can only do if the najasat is removed. The place of the najasat is wet, and if the building becomes dry by the direct rays of the sun. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjum. So now we've gone to the other two mutahhirat, the earth and the sun. Yeah, what could we talk about these? What are they?
Like,
they are what, a bit more
they're limited.
A bit more limited. Yeah, so how are they a bit more limited?
So they can't like purify as much things as like the water can.
What can they?
Like if it can only like purify the soles of the shoes or the soles of the feet.
That's for earth. And what about for sun?
It can only purify the immovable things on the earth.
Yeah. So if we think about how could you explain the sun? If the sun, how can the sun make something tahir?
So like a building, if there was blood, like, or like dirty water or something on there, the sun could dry it off.
The direct rays.
So there's something najis that's on my clothes. It's wet. It's become najis. Yeah. If I take this out, yeah, leave it in the direct under the direct sun, yeah, and then after when it becomes dry, then that would be what?
Tahir.
Tahir. Yeah, because you're purifying it through the sun. Yeah. Earth is what? How can what are the conditions of the earth? Because there are some conditions for the earth.
If the earth has to be tahir, the earth has to be dry. The najasa has stuck from the earth. The thing that has stuck on the sole of the foot or shoe is cleared.
Yeah. So mainly the earth has to be what? Dry. If we think about it, if anything is wet, yeah, wet is if anything's wet, that is a way of transferring the najasat. Yeah. So if you think about it, if anything's wet, yeah, you have something najis on your hand. Yeah, your hand is wet, and you shake someone else's hand. You've transferred that. Yeah, because it's wet. Yeah. If anything's wet, it's able to transfer it. Yeah. So that's why, if you had wet soil and if there was something najis in that soil as well, yeah, then what? Then you'll be able to transfer it. So that's why it has to be what? Dry. Yeah. So these are the three mutahhirat in the nature category. Yeah. What is the next category?
Physical change.
Yeah. So Misbah, you've got the next thing, so go start Misbah for the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjum.
Spiritual change, Islam. Islam is the first among the spiritual mutahhirat. We already know that a kafir is a najis. The only way a kafir can become tahir is by him or her accepting Islam. With the acceptance of Islam, the kafir will immediately become tahir. However, if that person's clothes were najis, then the new Muslim will have to make them tahir with water. Tabayya, to follow. Tabayya means to follow. It means that when a najis thing or person becomes tahir, then the things which are related to them also become tahir automatically. A few examples are: while washing a najis thing, your hands become najis also. But when that najis thing becomes tahir, then your hands will automatically become tahir as well. When washing the dead body of a Muslim, the table on which the corpse is washed and also the hands of the person washing the corpse become najis. But when the washing ghusl is completed, the table and the hands become tahir automatically. When a kafir becomes Muslim, his minor children become tahir automatically. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farjum. So this is what's a spiritual change category. Yeah. And the first one was what?
Nature.
Yeah, the first one category was nature, but on spiritual change, what is the first?
Islam.
Islam. Yeah. So if someone
Accepts Islam, then
they become tahir. And there's another rule that applies with that, which is what called the one after Islam, to follow. So if anything becomes tahir, whichever thing that is associated with it, certain things are associated with him, with that thing becoming tahir, those things will also become tahir. So an example of that will be if someone becomes Muslim, then their children, they will become what? Tahir too, as well as that, because they have become Muslim, and it's just that following action. And most of you got the next thing, so we can start most enough with the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum.
Ghaibatul Muslim, disappearance of a Muslim. Ghaibatul Muslim means disappearance of a Muslim. Suppose that the body or anything belongs to a Muslim becomes najis. If that person goes out of your sight long enough for him to purify himself or his belongings, and then he comes back and you see him using that particular thing, then you should consider it tahir. Why? You should consider it tahir because Islam teaches us to have a good opinion about others and refrain from suspicion. In that case mentioned above, you should trust that person because she is a good Muslim, and therefore we should assume that he must have made his body or clothes tahir when he was out of our sight. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. So thank you, Mohsin. So there another one in the spiritual change, Ghaibat al-Muslim. So how could we explain this? So you see one of your friends get something najis on their hand. They go away a bit, but you meet them a couple of hours later, and you go play football. You shake everyone's hand after the game. You're worried now, I'm gonna shake his hand, we're all sweaty and it's wet. So if he had najasat on his hand, it would transfer to me. But he had that time, the hours of time where you saw him with the najasat on his hand, and then he came back. What should you think then?
That he has cleaned himself of the najasat.
So that thing wouldn't be najis because of the rule Ghaibat al-Muslim. Because he has at that point, you don't know, he's gone away and he's had that time to do it, so you would assume that he would have done it. Because we should all believe one another. That's an important point. So the next one, which might be a little bit more difficult to understand, is the physical changes. So Misbah, you've got the next thing, so we can start Misbah with the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum.
Different physical changes. Istihala, chemical change. Istihala means change, or more precisely a chemical change. If a najis thing chemically changes into a tahir thing, then it is no longer najis. A few examples of an ain najis thing changing into a tahir thing are as follows. When urine ain najis evaporates, it changes into a gaseous state and condenses again into a liquid form. It is no longer urine, and therefore it is tahir. A dead dog's body is buried in a certain place, and during a long period of time it decays and changes into the earth. It is no longer a dog, and therefore it is tahir. Number 3, a stool is najis, but when it amalgamates with earth, it turns into manure, which acts as a fertilizer, which gives rise to vegetation, grass and fruits. It becomes an agent and incorporates itself into the earth. It is no longer a stool, and therefore it is tahir. A few examples of a najis thing changing into a tahir thing are as follows. A piece of wood becomes najis by a dog's urine. That wood is then put into the fire and changes into ashes. The ashes will be tahir. Number 2, najis water changes into steam and becomes water again. The new water will be tahir. Number 3, najis water which a cow drinks changes into the cow's milk. The milk of course will be tahir.
Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So there we're talking about what?
Istihala.
Istihala, which is the chemical change of things. Yeah. So to understand this, when things change state, is different when they change different chemically. Yeah. What they become? Tahir. Yeah. So we had an example of dirty water. Yeah. The water that is najis. Yeah. When it evaporates and then condenses back into water, that water will what?
Turn into
a tahir.
Which will be tahir. The water will be tahir. Yeah. So one thing that is any najis is what?
Is
a dog's dead body.
Yeah. So a dog. Yeah. A dog is najis. Yeah. So when that dog dies, yeah,
it becomes
yeah, and slowly he decays and goes back to the earth, yeah, and turns into dust, yeah. That dust will be what? Incorporated into the earth, and what? It will be tahir. Yeah. So because can you understand that? That is changing state and becoming something else, which is tahir. Yeah. So this is one rule, yeah, of mutahhir. This is one way of making something tahir, yeah, of something changing, of being mutahhirat. These are things that naturally occur, yeah, and this is one way of the earth making things itself tahir. So most you got the next thing, so we can start most enough. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Inqilab, like istihala, means change as well. The difference is that istihala, the shape and form change, whereas in inqilab, only the properties change. The only example is wine changing into vinegar. Wine is an intoxicating liquid, and therefore it is a najis. When a wine changes into vinegar, the vinegar becomes tahir. Intiqal means change in place. Certain najis, the things can become tahir if their location or place is changed. For example, the blood of a man is najis, whereas the blood of a mosquito is not. Now, if a mosquito sucks the blood of a human and that becomes the blood of the mosquito, then it becomes tahir. Similarly, a kafir is najis, but when an organ of a kafir's body is transplanted to a Muslim, then that organ becomes tahir because it is now considered as part of the Muslim body. However, when a blood-sucking leech sucks a human blood, the blood will stay najis because it will not be considered a part of the leech's body. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala محمد وعجل فرجهم. So thank you, Mohsin. So he went over two things there. What was the first thing that he went over? Inqilab, which is what? Changing
in the properties of
properties.
the Najaset.
So a similar way of what was the other one? Changing
Chemical changes
Yeah.
to hala.
Inqilab is a change in the properties of the najasat. Yeah. And one example of this is when
The wine changes.
Wine.
Yeah. So when you do you know what is before the making of wine?
Grape.
Yeah, grapes. Yeah. So you can take the grape and you can make wine. Yeah. Changing its properties. Yeah, making it wine. So that change makes it from a what? A tahir thing, making it into alcohol, which is an najis. But you can change that further, and if you carry on that change further, it will go into vinegar, which will make it back, making it tahir again. Yeah. So this change, yeah, is of the same thing, but through different conditions or whatever. Yeah, you can change it into different things. Yeah, and that change in property, yeah, can make something that is tahir, make it najis, and things that are najis, it can make it tahir. Yeah, so this change, hopefully we understand that. And what was the next thing that you talked about? Intiqal. And what is that? A change?
Change in location.
Change in location. So an example of something being najis, yeah, when transferred into what? Something else. That is, yeah, it becomes tahir. So one example was there is that organ donation. Yeah. When someone who's not a Muslim, yeah, he gives his organ, and then the person receiving the organ is Muslim. When that has been transferred into his body, it's what is considered part of him now. Yeah, which makes it what? Tahir. Yeah, so that is change in location. That's what it means by there. And Miss, you've got the next thing. So we'll start, Miss Rafi, the last salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum.
Zawalul ayn najasat, the disappearance of the najasat. Zawalul ayn najasat means disappearance of the najis element. This purifying agent is mostly useful in the case of animals. For example, if there's any najasat on the body of an animal, such as a horse, it will become tahir just by removing the najasat from the body. In human beings, Zawalul ayn najasat refers to the cleaning of the inner parts of the human body. For example, if someone's mouth becomes najis, then it can become tahir just by removing the najis thing from it. However, dentures and braces are not included in this rule because they are foreign to the mouth. Istibra. Halal animals like cows, goats and chickens become najis when they eat human waste. These animals can be made tahir by firstly keeping them away from najis food and then feeding them with tahir food for a set number of days. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjahum. So what was the first thing that she went over?
Zawalul ayn najasat.
So the disappearance of najasat. This applies to what?
Like animals.
Yeah, mainly to animals and things. So the concept of this is that when you have when something and najis has came in contact with a surface or something, Yeah, and just by removing that thing, yeah, it has made that thing tahir. So just by removing that najis thing, it makes whatever surface that it was on tahir. This only applies to certain things. Yeah, for a human, yeah, for a person, it only applies to what?
The mouth.
Yeah, their insides. Yeah. So if something najis was in my mouth, just by removing it, yeah, it would my mouth wouldn't be najis anymore.
It'll be tahir.
Yeah, it would be tahir. So just by removing it, it will be najis. It will be tahir. Yeah. And for the surface of a horse, for example, like Misbah gave it, if anything najis on there, just by the removal of that thing, yeah, just by the removal of that thing will become tahir. Yeah. And what was the other thing that you went over?
Istibra.
Yeah, and what is that, Mohsin?
Halal animals like cows, goats and chickens become najis when they eat human waste, and then they can become tahir again by them eating.
So this is to do what with halal animals, yeah, and when they eat something that is najis, yeah, they what become najis,
Yeah.
yeah, and to make them what pure tahir again, yeah, they would have to what not eat anything najis, yeah,
Halal
only
food
eat tahir food
for a set number of days.
only eat tahir food for a certain number of days, yeah, and when those days run out, then that thing what will become tahir. Yeah. And Mohsin, you've got the next thing, so I can start Mohsin off with the loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil.
Remaining blood after slaughter. When a halal animal is slaughtered according to the Sharia, and when its blood flows in normal quantity, the remaining blood in the body is tahir. How najis works. If a tahir thing touches a najis thing, and if either both of them are so wet that the wetness of one of them reaches the other, then the tahir thing will become najis. The question is, should we start with the assumption that everything is najis unless we come to know that it is tahir, or should we start with the assumption that everything is tahir unless we come to know that it is najis? The answer is we should start with the assumption that everything is tahir unless we come to know that it is najis. Therefore, if we do not know whether the chairs and tables around us are not najis or not, then we should assume that they are actually tahir. However, there is one exception. Any animal product such as skin of an animal obtained from a kafir should be considered najis unless it is shown that the animal has been slaughtered according to the Islamic Sharia, or that it has been in possession of a Muslim before coming into the kafir's possession. Here are a few examples. If a kafir gives us a spoon, then we should consider it tahir. If we know for sure that he has or she has touched it, with the flowing wetness, then it will automatically be najis. If a kafir sells us a piece of meat, then we must consider the meat najis. However, if we know that for sure that a Muslim has slaughtered the animal and gave that meat to the kafir to sell, then we consider the meat tahir. If we bought something from a kafir and we're not sure whether or not it is made from an animal product, then we can consider it tahir. Salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil farjum. So just talking about just summing that bit up, yeah, the remaining blood after slaughter is what? Tahir, yeah, and that is Mohsin what? He just carried on talking about how one thing that I mentioned is the transfer of these najasat things. Yeah, if something is najasat, it is transferred through them both being wet. Yeah, and when something is wet, it can transfer that najasat. Yeah, and we should all have this assumption, yeah, that everything is tahir until it is proven to you that it is najis. Yeah, so we should have that ruling in our minds when we're thinking about these, so we don't worry about these things too much and keep asking, that you can just easily go through your head and see this, and you're able to understand this. So hopefully we went over them in enough detail so everyone is able to understand. We should hopefully next week go through a bit more of understanding, to giving more examples, so we're able to practice this knowledge, so we understand it fully. So hope you learned something on today's show. Hope you at home learned something on today's show as well, and we'll see you next week, same time, same place on Hidayat TV. But until then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.